Let's get to the airport where our story begins. Some big dudes in the drip disembark from the flight they were on and enter immigration. Immigration officers asking what their purpose is for visiting. And this big suited guy says it's just for a vacation. He gets the green light.
Enjoy your vacation, man.
And then it cuts to a blurry scene of some kind of civil gathering. And then cuts to another scene of a chick in a bar. She entices the big man to drink some more until he gets nabbed away in a sketchy white van. Then back to our big dude who's now topless, sitting at a bench. A little girl accidentally rolls her toy ball to him, but he offers it back. Too bad the little girl is scared out of her mind while he's just trying to be kind. Oh well, free ball. Cut to some other dude flying in a plane with some other guys, in some horrible CGI of a plane. Welcome to Pattaya City, folks. Somewhere else, this cop is lecturing this delinquent, and apparently, this supposed delinquent is a cop, and he has the cop-looking guy locked up. The story placing's a mess, because we're back to this big guy who's now playing with the little girl and her ball. Oh, isn't that cute? Looks like he pulls through with her, and they have a fun time. So much so she falls asleep in his arms. Mr. Barney Emerald, the big guy, gets called, so he returns the kid back to her mother. Then he approaches an audience with the delinquent-looking cop. Apparently, this poor gentle giant got robbed from the bar last night, and he's totally left with nothing.
I've got nowhere to go. I've got no money.
So the cop gives him money for a bus. Well, he's grateful, and then the little girl from earlier even bids him a sweet farewell. Mr. Emerald's left to roam the country via motorcycle ride, and the biker takes him to the information center near a beach. He pays, biker leaves, but info center is closed thanks to renovations. Poor guy can't seem to catch a break. He doesn't even have shoes. And here comes another cutaway of two gentlemen leaving a plane all gussied up. Now he's in a bar left with nothing. Trouble comes as some kid is running away from some ragged-looking folks, and then they search the food court for him. The jagoff's trying to talk to Mr. Emerald, but there's a huge language barrier. Mr. Emerald doesn't really know where the girl went, so they flock off. Emerald recoils back, but she was behind him all along. The jagoffs hear it and come to collect her, but she's begging Emerald to help, since these are very bad men.
Help me, please. They are very bad guys.
So our guy goes for the peaceful method to try to defuse the situation. Suddenly, a tricycle breaks down nearby and they all thought it was a gunshot, so Mr. Emerald gets submissive. The ruffians see their chance and go for the little girl, but she hides under Mr. Emerald and they start beating him up. He seems to be taking those attacks kind of well, and they really get kind of rough. Soon the little girl's sister, Dakia, comes to rescue with a flying kick. She gets really tough on the guys, and Emerald by accident. She uses the big guy's sturdy stature to her advantage, beating the stuffing out of those hoodlums. And then the sisters use him for the final blow with a forced body slam. While they're being crushed by Mr. Emerald, the two sisters make a getaway, and our guy's left repeatedly apologizing to the hooligans. When it's all good with the sisters, Dakia wonders how the trouble even started, and her sister throws Mr. Emerald, blaming him for the source of the trouble. Apparently, she doesn't have luck today being a seashell vendor, but in secret, she started the fight, because she stole one of the hooligans' wallet. Her sister begs to be taken home and continues to berate Mr. Emerald, until surprise, there he is, all roughed up, and he's still asking if the sisters are okay. He even returns the seashell necklaces to her. Mr. Emerald introduces himself to the girls as Barney, and we learned his first name. Once the handshake is done, we're taken to a rural home where this kid gets spooked from a bunch of ghost story comics. He sees a big silhouette in the distance and freaks out. He shouts to the other kids that it's a ghost, but no, just big old Barney with Katten and Dakia. Suddenly, their father catches all of them. The dad was kind enough to lend Barney a hand and let him stay here, help him get to the immigration info, and let him stay until he gets that passport.
You can stay here. Get your passport, okay?
And he tries to get him some clothes. It's getting late, so the head monk is asking Dakia to show Barney a place to sleep, and they bid their good nights via bowing. Or maybe a little too much bowing.
No, stop. 3 times.
Three's enough, Barney. He thanks the monk, then the two sisters head home to their mother, where they get patched up and are scolded for trouble that they caused. Her mother wants him to just study and stay out of trouble. Dakia is blaming Katten, but Katten lies through the skin of her teeth, saying she just got picked on. Their mother's warning no trouble, or there's gonna be a spanking. The night passes, and Barney sure is a loud and heavy sleeper. The other kids are surely disturbed by his sleeping antics, so they're slowly distancing themselves until they totally leave him alone. Somewhere else, shady-looking foreigners are discussing something. Then one of them inserts a small diamond into his laptop, and it displaces money in what looks to be, flour. Yeah, illegal flour. Let's go with that. The dude in the Hawaiian shirt is amazed by this.
That's amazing.
So back to Barney sleeping. These kids coil an electrical wire around him. Then they wake him up with a loud shout assisted by speakers. Later on, Barney's helping monks and sisters go down to town and run some errands. Catton says he's helping the monks because his snores are keeping the children up at night. They finish the errands and then head straight home. But Barney struggles to take his very small slippers off. That's when the sisters show up. They brought him some actual fitting shoes. Soon Barney's partaking in the monks' customs of meals and prayers. Then it's time for cleanup. Somewhere on a nearby beach, the sisters' mother is doing her usual chores when she sees the invaluable Camellia Diamond set on TV. Catton then brings Barney to her, and he introduces himself. Barney's actually really excited to try their mother's somtum cooking, but suddenly he's reluctant, so Catton forces him to.
I don't know if I can.
He takes a bite, and then suddenly, he goes haywire and gets really red. He accidentally hits their mother, and his vision gets blurry. His flurry causes utter destruction of the store until he finds some water to douse it on. He calms down once the water hits and is very apologetic for what he did, since he's saying he couldn't control it. Well, now he's in debt, and Catton thinks he needs a job. DJ and chef are some of the things crossed off that list, so Fight Club it is, at least according to Catton. In another place, the Camellia Diamond set gets placed inside a very secure and well-guarded vault. Back to Barney, getting Muay Thai training from Dokya. They run through the teacher salutation ritual first, and then it's time for some actual moves. This martial arts requires a lot of leg movement and balance, so Barney is a little flimsy at first, but soon, Dokya shows him some hard-hitting kicks on a punching bag. Barney gives it a try, but slips on his first attempt. Time for a little weight training, and then it's break time. Catton's asking how he ended up in Thailand. So he says that he won a lucky draw prize, but got robbed on the first night here. He pities himself because he's not as strong as the two sisters, but they both tell him that he's got to have a heart as hard as a diamond to win this.
She said, fight strong.
Some time passes now, and he's sparring with a kid to test his skills. Spoiler alert, kid wins. Next news flash, the Camellia Diamonds are stolen. It appears these three gentlemen are behind it, and only his smaller diamond can open the container holding the Camellia Diamonds. They've got 3 days before their flight to Brunei, and then they get paid. So for now, party time.
Good idea, bro. Let's party.
Come on.
It's also going to be party time in this ring, because the sisters inquire Yang here if they can get Barney into this. Yang accepts. Then some intermission fights take place. I tell ya, it's just as brutal as WWE. Everyone's loudly cheering, and Catton's asking if Barney could survive this, and Dokya really doesn't know either. So Catton comes up with a plan to feed Barney some somtum so he can go totally nuts. And it looks like he got ringed out and the paramedics say his life is ended. I'm just playing. That was all the sisters' imaginations. They cancel the fight, and Barney is very apologetic once again. So next plan, stripping. The crowd seems to love it, and one of the girls even rushes to spank those glutes. Nah, I'm joking. This time it's his imagination, and Barney absolutely refuses. His reason being that he can't dance. Then the sisters force him to shake what his mama gave him. Fast forward a day and Catton asks if he gets his passport, would he go home? Well, his answer is that he still needs to fix their mother's restaurant. It's a promise, he says.
Absolutely. I keep my word.
Then he spots a girl that was making him drunk, so he chases after her. Catton's close behind and so is the cop from before. The chase is on to an apartment filled with crooks and stolen passports. They shut the door behind him and beat him to shreds. The cop comes in and asks him to turn themselves in, but they all choose the hard way. Cop starts fighting back with some amazing moves, and Barney's asking Catton to help him find his passport. I don't know, Chief. The cop's looking like he needs some help. He introduces the hoodlums to some secret spices, and then takes down a bunch of them. Catton found his passport, but she doesn't tell him. Then the cop steals a gun from him, but it's empty. Too bad for you. He has a spare. He opens fire on one of the guys' legs. Then we fast forward to some time after that. Dokya's asking if they found the passport, but Catton's over here lying. Catton comes up with a plan to just ask their mom if Dokya is allowed to compete in a Muay Thai dance competition, and the mother, being fooled, says yes. Two sisters then rush to get the big guy, and then they all go to the ring together. Young leads them to a table where a match is ongoing, and the 3 diamond thieves are there too. The match ends. Then the announcer introduces the combatants, our very own Dakya versus a fully grown man named Ritdej Sitkrathong. Can't say it. Turns out the match is rigged, because Yang got bribed by those hooligans that Katten stole from. All bets in, and then it's time to rumble. Dakya holds her ground pretty well. This dude is just too tanky. Then this guy lets out a flurry of punches, and Dakya's dodging them flawlessly. Soon she's taking the full brunt of his punches through, and she's backed into a corner, and she gets one right in the kisser. Ref goes to check her out, make sure she's good to go. The tussle begins once again, but Dakya's grounded and pounded. In the audience, Katten's saying that her sister doesn't give up easily because of the money at stake, blaming Barney on why she's so determined to win that money. Well, the round ends, and Ritdej is scolded for fooling around, while Dakya is in total pain. It's already not a fair fight, and then they secretly slip a metal bar into this dude's gloves. Round 2's on, and Dakya has the upper hand until she gets a full headshot. Well, she's down for the count, but she gets up and immediately gets a face full of fists. She thinks about her mother in these blurry situations, so this time she's focusing. Ritdej rushes in for the finisher, but she catches it to her advantage. He sends a lot of rush attacks, but thanks to Dakya's accuracy, she manages to knock him down. Well, he's down for the count, but since everything's rigged, this guy's saved by the bell. Yang rigged it as a draw, so they only got a small portion of the real cash prize. Barney steps in to threaten Yang a little, but the sisters are restrained, while Barney's beaten stone cold by some of the competitors. Fast forward to them walking home in shame. Adding salt to the wound, their mom catches them with those bruises and figures it all out, so she gets upset. Dakya also figures out that Katten lied to her as well, so she runs off. Now Katten catches her sister sobbing by the beach. She goes up to her and they both cry. The two hug it out in a rotating shot while Barney smiles from a distance. At the 3 Thieves compound, the crystal key is missing. They're holding their entourage accountable while they try to find the key all over the house.
Stay there! Stay there!
They can't duplicate this key because it's quite unique, and they can't force the laptop container either because it'll explode, turning those diamonds to dust.
Is it clear enough for you now? The clever man?
Going back to Barney, now working for the fishing industry to catch himself a few buckaroos. Sisters are back at home helping their mother, and slowly, they rebuild the Som Tum restaurant thanks to Barney's consistent hard work. And when they finally get it open, luckily some customers arrive. During this time, Barney's helping the family make some food, but due to his immense size and strength, he keeps breaking the mortars. The sisters and Barney swing by the monks' temple, and they give him a really big and sturdy wooden mortar. At the marketplace, Dakya is shopping for fruits and vegetables. She's tasked by her mother to go find one specific papaya store, but she gets lost and ends up in this one. The young seller gets annoyed at her for not buying papayas, so she skins one to prove that they're good enough. Well, she's convinced, so she bought a heap of them. It's time to go home, and she tries to take a motorcycle but looks at one of the drivers. It's Ritdej. Still being a little bit of a sore loser, he pushes her over. Well, she stands up, gives him a good old street whopping in front of the public.
เราเสมอกันไม่ใช่เหรอ
No metal bars this time, so Dakya totally embarrasses him in front of the crowd like the low-tier god he is. As many times as she's feeding him to the ground, he gets back up and the cycle continues. Soon, the others gang up on her, but the papaya vendor comes out to her aid. It's an all-out Super Smash Brawl. 2 girls give the drivers a swift beating, and with papayas. Even the papaya vendor showing off a little. This guy gets back up, and he's receiving one last beating from Dakya. Then he and the gang are pelted with fruit and booze from the crowd. To thank her bravery, the papaya vendor advertises Dakya's Som Tum restaurant. Soon, flyers are everywhere, looking like the business is booming. Barney's not breaking mortars anymore because of its durability, and they all up having a good time with their fun little business. Customers are coming by the dozens, and Barney's getting the hang of helping with the food. Soon, some man tries to woo the mother, but Barney's large presence is enough to scare him off. At the 3 Thieves place, they replay some footage of the boxing match and find out Katten's responsible for that sneaky thievery. They cut this man a deal to remember her face, and if any of them find her, it's another grand for him. Speaking of which, Katten's alone, drawing on the beach. She's taking a look at Barney's passport. At home, the mother gussies him up and the candles are everywhere. It's Dakya's birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
They blow out those candles and Katten gives her a necklace. It's the crystal key. Oh boy, it's not good. Katten, of course, lies again on how she got it, and then she gives Barney a present, some clothes. They have a nice, wholesome time. The next day comes, and the three are seen walking when suddenly a white van stops by and kidnaps both the girls. They stick Barney at gunpoint so he's powerless, and they also bring him along. The three thieves interrogate the three stooges at their compound. Soon they find the crystal, but they have a little coup and this guy makes Dakia swallow the crystal key. He takes the girl hostage.
I'm so grateful we're still in this together.
But then they come to a conclusion to stick to the original plan. That's until Dakia escapes. One tells them to catch Dakia and then meet up at the airport afterwards. Once they're all out, the remaining bad guys are tasked to kill Katten and Barney. Katten sees some Somtum, so she feeds Barney some and he turns into that Red Hulk, going all berserk. He's choke slamming this one guy while the others flee. Speaking of fleeing, Dakia's pursuers are still close by, but we got Red Barney here saving the day. That's until a Jeep takes Dakia away. Barney and Katten try to catch up via tractor, and then Dakia crashes that Jeep. The two arrive, so he's left to face the three big men. They absolutely pummel his bacon. So Katten tries to save him by making some more Somtum nearby. Dakia's left to fight off Yang and his goon, and then she escapes. Katten's finished with the spicy Somtum mix, while they're really beating him like it's the end of No Nut November. Luckily, Katten catches his head beneath the floorboards.
Open your mouth.
And he turns into the red monster once again. Never mess with a man who's tasted how hot the sun is, cause Barney finally takes the reins of the fight and beats them all up. Back to Dakia. She's still running from Yang and his goon, but she topples him off a cargo hold. Barney smashing a few walls, then gives the guy the people's elbow. Soon the big men tag team him, but his rage prevails. After beating him up, Barney sees Dakia being cornered, so he goes after her, but gets distracted by the goons, while Dakia topples the last pursuer. She sees Barney fighting two people and comes down to help, but Yang's after her. That's until she pushes him and runs towards Barney. Speaking of which, he's in a grapple with this guy until he gives one of them a shock. Then he uses a water barrel to spread the love. Too bad he falls off and gets that same treatment. Just as one of them was about to throw a barrel, Katten tries to turn the voltage on again to save Barney, but the juice runs out, so Barney's left to fight barrel with barrel. Victory for him. Don't celebrate just yet, cause Dakia gets captured at gunpoint. Barney sees this and he actually gets shot by the runway. Soon, the men betray the locals, and then Katten apologizes that she kept his passport. She runs away to go after her sister, but Barney finally gets the inner rage and throws himself into the plane. One of them goes after Barney and the two inside start betraying each other while Dakia escapes. Barney beats down the other guy with some bad CGI plane action, and soon he lifts this plane to topple it over and collapses from his wound. Dakia tearfully rushes to him, and so does Katten. Katten then scares him awake with some Somtum and he's alive.
No! No!
Some time passes, and at that Somtum restaurant, it's looking like Katten and Barney went on a worldwide adventure, while their restaurant is a hit. And that looks like it's about it for My Thai Giant. What'd you guys think about this spicy movie? Let us all know in the comments below with the hashtag #CinemaRecap. This was My Thai Giant by Sahaman Gold Film International, starring Nathan Jones, Sasisa Jindamani, and Nawarat Takarathana Prasert. Horrible. And not even close, I'm sorry. Until that next spicy serum, farewell.